Are you someone who has ever wondered what IELTS is? Are you someone like me who, when I first heard about IELTS, I actually thought it was an exam related to all this ICANN exam and stuff like that? Now, if you fall into this category, perhaps you know a little or you don't know so much about IELTS. Now, stay with me in this video as I try to review what IELTS is all about and some basic information about IELTS. Alright, so today I have my notes to guide me so I don't miss out on anything. So basically, what is IELTS? Now, I think it is just absolutely normal for me to start from the full meaning of IELTS. Now, the full meaning of IELTS is International English Language Testing System. International English Language Testing System. Now, IELTS, that's like the acronym, and it is commonly pronounced as IELTS, okay? IELTS. Now, I've seen a lot of people call it IELTS, IELTS, and all that is actually called IELTS, okay? Now, IELTS as it is a language proficiency test. Now, all over the world, we have so many language proficiency tests, not just when it comes to English language, but some languages as well have their proficiency tests. And IELTS happens to be one of the language proficiency tests when it comes to the language English. We have several others like TOEFL, like CELT, like Language Cert and stuff like that, okay? But IELTS happens to be one of the most renowned, one of the most popular. Now, the reason why this is because of the level of objectivity. Now, perhaps in another video, I'm going to share why IELTS seems to be one of the most objective English language testing exam all over the world. Now, this IELTS exam is recognized in over 140 countries, yes, and is also taken in several countries, most especially countries whose English language is not whose first language is not English, okay? That is where you find IELTS predominantly written. For example, Nigeria, even though it's our first language. Story for another day. Now, what is the essence of IELTS? Okay, now the main essence of IELTS is this is more like a test that has been put together by the British Council as well as IDP Australia, okay, put together by these two bodies, as well as the Cambridge English Assessment. Don't let me miss that out, more like 3 in 1, put together in order to assess people whose first language is not English. Okay, if your first language is not English and then you want to should I say weigh or gauge your ability when it comes to English language, and then IELTS is your plug. Okay, so this test has been put together by these 3 bodies in order to help those whose first language is not English language, in order to help them assess what their English language ability is like. Now, this test would majorly ascertain or evaluate your use as well as your knowledge of the language. Not just that, at the end of the day, there is a result you get which is called the test report form. Okay, now on this test report form, what you would have are basically scores. Now, IELTS, like I would always tell my students, is not a pass or fail exam. This is just a test that is designed to assess your level. So they would never tell you, oh, you've passed, oh, you failed. What they would tell you, oh, this is your level. I think you're on the level this or the level that. Now, this level is usually recorded in what we call band scores. We have them as whole numbers and then also sometimes reported in halves as well. So basically, we have the lowest band score to be 0 and then the highest band score to be 9. All right, so that's more like the IELTS exam in a nutshell. Okay, a test put together to assess your level of English. Now, why are we all, or why is everybody right? No, everybody is not writing IELTS. What's with the popularity these days? Now, IELTS is one of the requirements that immigration bodies, countries, English language speaking country anyway, universities. Perhaps if you have the dream of working, living, relocating, studying in any English language country, most prominently UK, US, Canada, Australia. Now, if you have the ambition of working, living, or studying in any of those countries, one of the requirements, not for all the immigration pathways anyway, for some of the immigration pathways, one of the requirements is the IELTS exam. Now, they all the main essence is they want to see, what they want to see basically is if you can actually acclimatize into the system well. Now, we understand that when language is a barrier, we have social problems as well as practical problems. Okay, for example, I know next to nothing when it comes to French. Imagine if I travel to France today, perhaps they will just be looking for one girl that, okay, no collab, but anyways, but basically it could cause a whole lot of problem. Okay, so what I want to see is that you are at a particular level in such a way that you understand this language, thereby facilitating your ability to acclimatize well, settling well, either living, studying, working in their country. Okay, so that is the main essence why they would require you to take an IELTS test. Okay, now remember, this is what some immigration people or some friends and family will not tell you. It is only one requirement out of so many for immigration pathways. It is not like the moment you write IELTS, just go and buy Ghana must go, it's time to go to the abroad. Nah, it's not like that. All right, so that is that on the other side. Okay, like I said, I have my note here to guide me. So the next thing I would like to tell you is, okay, now we have IELTS, yes, but we have different types of IELTS. Now, what are the different types of IELTS exams that we have? Now, we have the general training, we have the academic, and then we have what we call the life skills test. We have different types of IELTS, or should I say different versions now. We have the general training test, we have the academic test, and then we have what we call the life skills test. Now, the most popular out of those three that I've mentioned is the general training test as well as the academic test. Now, these are the two most prominent, and these are the two, for example, if you join any IELTS class today, the curriculum or the most of the things that they are going to be teaching you are basically things that aligns with the general training test as well as the academic test, because they are the most popular. Now, how about the life skills test? That's another thing that some people do not understand. They believe the only two we have is general training. Now we have the life skills test. One of them, I think we have about 3 under the life skills test. So we have the A1, we have the B1, and then we have the B2. Majorly, they are usually for those thinking of immigrating to the United Kingdom, the UK, and then it's mostly used in that line. Now, this general training and then this academic, I think it's always important to tell the difference. Now, we have two types. Again, that means 2 types of general training, 2 types of academic. Now, 2 types of general training. We have the general training standard, we have the general training UKVI, and then we have the academic standard, and then we have the academic UKVI. Now, what's the standard and UKVI all about? So basically, the standard result is some more like if you register at the point of registration, if you register for the general training standard, it simply means that result you can use it anywhere. You can use it in the UK, you can use it in Canada, you can use it, it's like general, like you can use it anywhere. I mean the standard exam, be it general training or academic. But general training academic UKVI is mostly for the United Kingdom. The full meaning of UKVI is United Kingdom Visa and Immigration. Yeah, I think I'm correct. So it simply means that it's for UK. Now, if you can use this UKVI for Canada, or if you can use the same UKVI for any other country, trust me, that is subjective. Okay, it's not. So in some cases it is accepted, in some cases it is not accepted. Now, the reason is because so that at the point of registration, you take a chill pill and then you weigh your options. Okay. so that you can register for the right one. I know that, for example, if you are applying for Canadian Express Entry, you don't want to write General Training UKVI. Any Express Entry program, you don't want to take General Training UKVI. Okay, but as same as I think there's this popular healthcare program, pathway for the UK, the carer program in the UK. You also do not want to write General Training Standard. What you need is General Training UKVI. Now let's say Wisdom is profitable to direct, so just weigh your options and register for the right one, because you can't interchange them. Okay, now the next thing I'd like to share is the modules. Now, like I said, most curriculum you find everywhere are based on the general training and then the academic test. Now, either you're taking general training or you're taking academic, you'll be required to take, like, after, like, you're writing the exam actually covers 4 modules. We have the listening, we have the reading, we have the writing, and then we have the speaking. I'll take it again. We have the listening test, the reading test, the writing test, and then the speaking test. Now, these are the 4 modules that you'll be required to write. Now, in the case of the life skills test, that's where the disparity actually comes in. In the case of the life skill test, it is totally different. Now, for the life skill test, what you would only be doing is the listening test and the speaking test, class, and that's it. But when it comes to the general training and the academic test, you have to take all 4. Now, sometimes my students ask me, can we not delete one? Well, you cannot delete it. You're gonna write all 4. Okay, so basically, you take your listening, reading, and writing test on the same day. Now, it is commonly referred to as the LRW. That's just short form of listening, reading, and writing. Commonly referred to as LRW. You take your LRW on the same day, while your speaking test will be scheduled for a different day entirely. Most usually within 5 days before you take your LRW, or within 5 days after you've taken your LRW. That's how the test is scheduled. Now, let me talk about the 4 modes of delivery. Now, but before I talk about the modes of delivery, please prepare your mind that taking the LRW test, writing the test takes about more than 3 hours. I think I have a video, perhaps I'll put the link somewhere on the screen. I'll put the link somewhere so that you can watch the video on what to expect on your LRW test day, as well as speaking. The IELTS test is delivered in 2 forms. Now, I'm talking about the form of delivery of the test. Now, we have what we call the paper-based test, and we have what we call the computer-delivered test. So, paper-based test, commonly referred to as the PBT, and the computer-delivered test, commonly referred to as the CBT. Now, my own sentiment, I kind of prefer the paper, because as an instructor anyway, I have some sentiments. I prefer the paper based over the CBT, but that's, trust me, it is totally subjectable. In another video, perhaps I'll share why I have this opinion. But anyway, you choose whichever one that is convenient for you part time, and trust me, it is still the same question, and it is still the same, everything is the same marking guide, nothing changes. The only thing that changes is the mode of delivery. While those taking paper base are going to be working with paper and pencil and biro recently, and we have those taking computer will basically be working on the system. You're not going to be using any writing material whatsoever. Okay, so just choose whichever one you're most comfortable with, and ensure that you practice with it before your test day so that you get used to it. Now let's talk about the registration of the exam. What do I need? How should I register for the exam, or what do I need to have to register for the IELTS exam? Now, all you need is your international passport, my dear brothers and sisters in the Lord. That's all you need, just your international passport. And in some cases, if your international passport is not ready or you don't have it, I think most recently now in Nigeria, you can actually register with your NIN slip. Now, in other countries, perhaps there's some alternative, but I know in Nigeria you can use your NI, like not just this, like the original card and like the confirm card. If you have it, you can use it. but I think the most common is your international passport, and trust me, that is all you need for the registration. Now let's talk about the registration. Now many people feel some of us don't know that we have two bodies that handles the registration of the IELTS exam, and that is the British Council and the IDP Australia. British Council, IDP Australia. Now, should I register with British Council? Should I register with IDP? Story for another day. But I'll tell you that, trust me, it's the same question. Let's assume that some people are writing British Council today, IDP today. Trust me, everybody's working on the same question. Why? Because it is still the same body. They basically co-own the exam. Either you register with British Council or IDP, your result is valid anywhere. Okay, that's settled. Now, how frequent do we have to, like, how soon can I register for IELTS? Now, IELTS exams are taken almost, in fact, too frequently safe. Like before, it used to be more like 4 times in, I think the least you would have is 4 times in a month. That's like the least. Okay, but in a week, there's hardly a week that you won't find a test day. Most recently, with the introduction of the CBT exam, they test like, so basically you can just go online, register today and write your exam tomorrow, or just pick the next available date. There's so many dates available in the month, so you don't have to worry. Now let's also talk about the result collection. Now I've written my exam. I've written my exam. My result is out and I need to get my result. How do I get my result? Now, usually the mode of registration is in 2 ways. We have direct registration, that is you going to British Council or going to IDP and then you register directly with them online. You can do the registration. It's a DIY, you can do it yourself and then online. While for some people they prefer to go to third parties, okay, like okay, we have so many of them around, okay, third parties to help them register for the exam. Now at the stage of registration, yes, the third parties can swing some things and maybe some other logistics problem and all of that. Yes, they can do all that for you, but at the stage of result collection, you are dealing directly with either British Council or IDP Australia, whichever one you write your exam with. Now usually, I think at the time of making this video, I'd say that for British Council, you cannot walk into their office again to get the hard copy of your result. Although either British Council or IDP, you can actually preview your result online, but definitely you need the hard copy for your immigration process. So to get that result, all you need to do is get your international passport, walk into their office and get it. For British Council, now you can walk into their office and get your result. They would usually deliver it to your doorstep. So what you want to do is at the end of your LRW test, ensure that you check the address or leave the address that you would want them to deliver your result to. Now if you don't do that, they will just basically by default use the address you used during your registration. Okay, while for IDP, you can walk into their office with your international passport and get your result. That's it. Now these are some of the major things. I feel that they are basic anyway, but trust me, sometimes it can be quite enormous. But one thing I always try to let my students understand is IELTS is not hard. IELTS is a wonderful test. Okay, I'm not saying this because I'm an instructor or something, but I'm just basically saying that these are more like the basic information that you need to know about IELTS before making any decision. Okay, I hope this video has helped you in one way or another. Please, if you find this video useful, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you have anyone preparing for the IELTS exam, like I would always say, please share it with them, and I believe they will find it as useful as you found it. Okay, all right, so that is the end of the video for this moment. I would see you all in my next video. Bye for now.